We met in '97, wasn't it? When I owned this gym and you were just a member at the time, coming in early in the morning.
Just a regular Joe.
Yeah, and I'll never forget when you and I started powerlifting. You're the only one I think I ever asked to let's do this together, kind of thing. We had just gotten back from West Side. We're about 2 weeks into the training. Everybody thought I was nuts and Keith was nuts, Keith Farrar. And then you kept watching what we were doing, and I knew you had an interest. And I'm like, dude, you should join us. Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember. Right back here in the corner.
Yeah, it was kind of right in this very room. Right here it happened. 20 years ago.
Yes,
Crazy.
20 years ago.
Lots has happened. Bo. But I remember calling you up at 9 o'clock on Sunday saying, hey, it's speed day today. And you're like, well, I usually sleep in because I'm working all the time. And I was like, there's no sleeping in.
Or hungover.
Yeah.
Or hungover.
And so we kind of got it. We were training 4 days a week together, and that went on for 7 years.
We were training every day together.
Yeah.
Because we were doing the sled work, we were doing speed work, max effort work. We were coming back and doing extra workouts. We were doing the wheelbarrow.
Remember, Louis told us that if we were serious, we'd do 12 to 15 sessions a week. So that's exactly what we did. Remember, we were so lean. I mean, we had veins on top of veins. It was crazy lifting 12 to 15. And then we go to the meets, and everybody was stronger than us, but we were in better shape than everybody.
We were in damn good shape.
We were in incredible shape, man.
I think I weighed 192, and he was
231.
So we could either do a bodybuilding show or...
My football weight was 302 for 9 years, and I was down to 231, eating right, and us doing our wheelbarrow, the wheelbarrow and our sled work. Remember the tire flipping? We should have got that CrossFit stuff back then. We could have labeled it been millionaires right now.
Yeah, we were in really good shape. Yeah. Couldn't lift shit, but we were in really good shape.
Yeah, we'd go to meets and get our butts spanked. Remember, we were in incredible shape. No doubt about it. But but one of the things people ask you and me all the time is how did we start getting better, And I'm gonna say my end. I think when going to doing meets, we learn from other lifters. Would you say that's how we did it?
Well, sure, but we had to go backwards to go forward.
Yeah.
Because everything we knew at the time was, wasn't working and wasn't making us strong.
No.
So, we had to develop our skill set first, and that's really, that took a long time to develop a decent skill. Not that we ever mastered it, but over time, just the continuous repetition and work.
Yeah.
And constantly ragging each other.
Yeah. I remember, you got one of the first national meets we did in '99. You got like a 675 squat. I'm like, holy crap!
Let's back up. The first meet I did was the USA PL.
Yeah, USA PL. Yeah.
And I'm a naturally nervous person anyway, so my anxiety was so high. And I walked it out, and I would put it in the basement with a wide stance. And back then they really didn't like wide stances. Not that they like them today. But they didn't like it, but they couldn't say anything because I was putting it so far down below parallel. But I was so nervous that I couldn't. I was beating. He would say rack. He would say put it in the rack, and
you have it in a rack.
And I would come up with it, and I was throwing it in the rack. So my first meet was a bomb out.
We had a lot of bomb outs, a lot of failures, and
you bombed out on the bench, I think.
Yeah, at the USAPL. Yeah, I did. That's when they were doing their paddle. They would. They had the ping pong paddles, and you did your own pause, remember?
Yep.
So I'd be down there like, I guess this is long enough. And they're like, nope, wasn't long enough. Like, it was real subjective, and thank God they changed that rule later. But, it was those USAPL meets here in South Carolina were good for us. I think they really helped us,
help us figure it out.
Figure things out, get a good taste, and there was a lot of competitors there. We met a lot of people, so. And then we eventually started.
Wasn't John with us?
Going out towards Columbus.
Wasn't John Manley with us too?
Yeah, John Manley.
He bombed out too, right?
Yeah, incidentally, all of us bombed out, even Keith.
Did Keith bomb out?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Forgot all about that.
We were the bomb squad. We called it the bomb squad.
We were dropping bombs all day long.
But we're typical of all other powerlifters getting started. Really love it. You know, we overshot our. You know, we go in and we want this squat, but we should have went for this squat.
Right.
You know, and so we're always picking these huge numbers compared to what we were capable of on the platform, and so that's where we screwed up. You know, we can't blame anybody but ourselves for that.
We were never conservative about it.
No conservative.
We'd be looking in the back of the Powerlifting USA and going, okay, I can do that. I can do that.
How about the dynamics of our group? We had John Manley, who was pissed off all the time.
Oh Jesus, he was angry.
Keith, that was fretting all the time and always high-strung, like he was like Popeye, you know. Then there was you, the quiet one, you know, that was trying to make sense of everything, very analytical. And then there was
Not
me,
really.
me the drama queen.
Yes, you were.
Yeah, so you got we got to do this, we got to do that. You know, and, you're there trying to dissect everything, and John Manley's pissed and yelling at us all, and Keith's there. Just like he drank a pot of coffee and had coffee IVs the whole time. You know, it was nuts. What a great group. What it was a wonderful
vibrating
group.
all the time.
Yeah, it was a wonderful group. Twitching. He's a twitcher.
The guy had quads and hamstrings for days.
Good. I'll tell you what. For one guy in Colombia said when we were getting started in '98, he goes, "Those ain't real power lifters. Real power lifters aren't Raleigh. You know." Phil Farmer, remember that guy?
That was a real.
Yeah, he was a good powerlifter, but I think you beat every single record he could ever dream of. And I remember him saying that, and it really motivated me to make sure we all were successful. And you know, you and I at the Arnold doing really well all those years, and then you know, John Manley ended up totaling over 2,500. Keith ended up totaling close to 2,100 at 220. Everyone was successful from that group of people. That guy was telling everybody how we weren't real powerlifters. 4 to 5 years later, it sure was a different story.
Well, we had tons of people who just took a dump on us all the time, and especially being in here. I mean, that was pretty much the whole gym was.
Yeah,
they weren't there. They weren't there to help you. They were just going. What are they going to do today? What are they going to do with the bands? What are they going to do with the chains?
And I remember a guy coming up to me, a member coming up here, telling me that. When am I ever going to buy anything for the gym? I'm always buying powerlifting stuff because we just bought a monolift. You know, like I said, spent $500,000 on equipment in this place. You know, for them.
Oh, at least, yeah.
So I spent a few thousand for us, and we're like, you know, when are you ever going to buy anything for us? It was an us and them situation. You know, powerlifting really opened the Red Sea up, didn't it? It split it, put the Great Divide, and then when ended up CrossFit ended up coming in, it ended up, you know, it was okay. It's okay to be hardcore. You know, we were there before it happened.
I think one of the turning points was when we went to the IPA. Was it Nationals or they had it twice a year? One was the Nationals and one was
the summer strength thing.
Right. I was wearing my single ply marathon suit. That was way too tight. Yeah. Choking off a lot of things. But I was also nervous there. But I think I came in at 198. Was it 198? 192. Came in at 192 for that meet, and ended up what did I squat? 650.
Yeah, I think 650 or 675.
I think I missed 675, but I got 650, and that was probably one of the moments where I was like, wow, that was just so much fun. Even though I think I bombed out of that meet. I don't know if I finished that.
Yeah, but that squat boosted your confidence. That was the one lift. That's what turned you that day. You know. And then that same meet for me turned me.
And it was always the rivalry too, because I think you squatted 7 something.
No, I squatted 675 or 650.
Maybe it was later.
And then when I remember you were the first to get 1,000 in the books, and I was so mad. I was like, I can't believe, because I had gotten 986.
That was the only highlight. Dude.
Yeah, and I was like, he beat me, and I just had I couldn't get the damn thing passed. Remember, I was squatting 1,000 for 3 years. Finally got past in 05. But I was like 2002 to 2005, squatting the grand all the time in meets and would never get past, or it stuck me to the floor.
Right.
One or the other. Either way, it's no good. But you got it first, then Tex got it, and a few others. And back then, you remember Spud, when you squatted 1,000 pounds at a meet, everybody stopped what they were doing, stood on their chairs, and the place went silent. And then as soon as you got under, they started going crazy. Remember
That's after I missed the first 2 squats too.
Remember?
I was like, you know what, let's just go for it.
Yeah, but it meant something. It meant something to everybody. Now, people are so number numb. You know, they can't appreciate the work that goes into squatting 1,000 pounds.
Oh, it took
You know?
it took a lot.
And
I remember that day you had. You know, he would always have. You would always have. You know, you're always doing antics in the gym.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And this is way before we ever got close to 1,000 pounds.
right.
And I came in one day and he had 1,010 loaded on the bar.
1,010. I remember I was sitting
And
there
I was like, you son of a bitch. You know, but he would do that all the time. That, you know, that made it fun. But
Yeah.
you know, none of us were anywhere near it. As a matter of fact, we looked at 1,000 pounds. We're like, shit,
we were
that's
around
a lot.
900 pound squatters then, and I put $1,000 on the bar, and it was like 1,005.
Yeah.
Well, whatever the 500s in the bar weigh, and then I was like, yeah, I got 1,000 today, and you're like, what?
But going back a little bit to some of the IPA meets, I mean, that was part of the rivalry. Was, you know, even though we were training partners and we wanted each other to succeed, we also kind of hated it when the guy got more weight than you did. So I remember you doing 750 or 7.
Well, give you a boost.
7
you know?
and a quarter, and I was looking back off the side of the platform. I was like, that son of a bitch.
I'm happy for him, but man, I'm pissed. It's simplistic, you know.
But those are the moments where you would get, you know, obviously motivate you, come back and train a lot harder.
Yeah. And
We were still light then too. I think that was 242. You did that.
you know,
It's like 750 or something like that. And nowadays it's just a small number, but back then,
Yeah.
you know, it's
Pretty big
750.
stuff.
750 back then is like 900 plus now. As far as
well, what people don't
brain-wise.
realize in the 90s there wasn't a lot of powerlifting gyms.
now.
You know, there was really no place to powerlift. Everything was a commercial gym.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, there wasn't garage gyms, there wasn't, you know, CrossFit boxes. There was no place to train hardcore. You know, very rare.
But it was, you know, back when we started, you know, the wife mentioned, you know, huddling around the back here reading the Powerlifting USA, and I totally forgotten about that.
Yeah.
But, you know, we were reading every word out loud and trying to
make sense of the programming.
Trying to
and the top
decipher.
100.
Yeah.
Top 100 was everything to us, remember?
Yeah.
You'd like, and then you'd think about the weights you missed, you'd add them in and see what place you would be in the top 100
Right.
if you were to got those lifts that you missed.
Right.
Remember that?
And you always hated waiting. You know, you were like, "When's my weight class coming up?" And you know, it might have been the last month, and you were like, "God damn, I got to wait a whole year to see it again."
Yeah. And they didn't differentiate back then. If you lifted the weight, that's what it went on there. It didn't matter if you were in gear and single ply or raw. They were all on the same page. So you saw everybody matching that top 100 of your weight class. And it was a rite of passage.
It was just fun.
Us, you know,
It
so.
was just a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, great times, man, great time. When your name started going up that thing, remember we're like, hey, I'm top 5. It was pretty cool, you know. And
Tell you remember what Louis told you when you went up that one meet and bombed out, the West Side Invitational?
yeah, he's told me a lot of things. He's telling me about how skinny I was. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, he's like, tell Donnie this is not a
This
bodybuilding
is
show.
not a bodybuilding show. Tell him if he wants to lift big weights, he needs to get his body weight up to like when he was in football. And his voice is even high compared to what it used to be.
I'm like, my voice, what about your voice, Lou? You know? So it was like, so I put on the weight after that, man. I went back to my football weight in 6 months, and then I just started all the, you know, the heavy training and stuff, just put it on you. You remember, it was easy.
Yeah.
Your body just set to where it was comfortable lifting, you know. And really no one understood what we were doing. Every time I did a meet and I was successful, very rarely, my parents were like, and I'm sure your parents were the same way, good, now you can quit. You know,
Well, hell, they didn't even know what I was doing. They didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Because hell, I had isolated myself, and I was so zeroed in on powerlifting
Yeah.
that everything else,
Obsession, it's an obsession.
everything else was getting shut off. I mean, I was, you know, just training. All I would do was work here for you and personal train people, and that's all I focused on. I didn't give a crap about anything else. You know, we were all getting ready for, you know, whatever we were going to do that day.
When everybody sees the Spud Inc. in there, the straps, and I don't think people realize right here in Columbia, South Carolina, we had to come up with all these straps because everything was junk. So we went down to downtown to the rigging company, and you know, a lot of people don't realize that stuff started right here in Columbia, South Carolina. Remember the
The long ab strap.
the cables. The sleds came with cables.
Yeah.
You had to get a tetanus shot just to use them.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
So we went down there, had Troy sew us up some stuff. And,
I forgot all about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Those cables would just bite you on the ankle.
Oh man, you got cut every single time. You know, lucky we still have our feet.
Well, and we were doing such absurd amounts of sled work. You know, we were doing
Twice a day.
ankle drags. We were doing belt drags. We were doing upper body.
We were walking sideways. Remember?
Yep.
Stepping sideways, cooking thing. We did everything you can do. Walking backwards with sled. Everything we can do with the sled. Everything. Well, if I'd die now if I tried that stuff.
Right. Right. We had everybody in the gym doing it too.
Yeah. Yep.
After a while, everybody sort of bought into the program, and everybody was started doing a lot of the things. A lot of people got in a lot of great shape.
And we did that work 2 years in a row, nonstop. And then when we started dropping that stuff off and concentrate more on these, our strength went way up. But I don't think our strength would have went way up if we didn't have that first.
How did that happen? Tell people how that happened.
You know, we gained weight, number one, you know, and we split apart for a year.
Yeah.
We had a divorce.
Yeah. You went to the garage.
Yeah. I went to I had a garage at my house and I lived there. Called it the garage.
Going to the garage.
And I named it that first before anybody else could name it that. I wanted to own the garage.
And back then, before I bought the place, it was an in-between owner, Mark Blackberg and Mark and Terry. And it was called Total Gym at the time. And I would call his the garage, and he would call ours Total Failure.
Yeah, Total Failure.
And it was just me and Keith, you know, trying to figure it out. And, you know, you just had a couple guys hanging out with you, too. It wasn't really powerlifting. No. Manly was there, wasn't he?
Yeah, a little bit. He was here, too. He came to both places.
Yeah.
So, but a year later, when I got that compound downtown, we all met one day and never broke up after, you know, we got back together. You know, got back together. So, yeah, it's a good thing we didn't have social media back then. We probably never gotten back together.
we had our own form of social media.
That's
remember?
Right. Yeah, writing it on the board.
Yeah.
We would write messages on the board over here. You know, I'd write a little innuendo. You'd leave a little innuendo. House would leave a little.
I totally forgot about the board.
Yeah, we had the board, man. We used to leave messages. Subliminal messages. It was fun, man. It was so much fun just ragging each other. But man, we never missed, did we?
Nope.
Never missed. Never missed a training session.
It was about that time too that
we trained and not even speak to each other.
Yeah.
I mean, for days.
Yeah. Tell them why you left.
I can't remember really. Tell me.
You remember that it was funny because you said you were going to be here at a certain time to train with me and Keith, and you know we all knew you weren't going to be here on time because the Thompson Vortex turned into so late. And
what did I get mad because you started without me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Me and Keith were in the back doing military press off the chain.
Sounds like me. Yeah.
And then you came in all steamed up. You didn't say a word. What was funny is you had bought a Buffalo bar and. That was the only specialty bar we had at the time.
Yeah.
And you got so mad, you came in, walked right beside us, picked up the Buffalo bar, walked right out the gym with it, and that was the end of it.
That was it. And then we had the raid when I came in and with Blackberg and got the stuff I needed for powerlifting.
Right.
Yeah. that lasted about a year, and then we were all back together. So. Real good. That didn't work real well.
But that was funny. You were so mad. You just walked in, put the Buffalo bar over your shoulder, and walked right out. And then you were coming back and forth.
I'm a drama queen. I'm a drama queen. What can you say?
I'm not even getting into the crying wheelbarrow.
No.
But every time you worked out, I mean, before you had gotten all the equipment out, every time you worked out, you would, if you were going to use the Buffalo bar that day, you would walk it in here. You would do your training. You would put it back on your shoulder and you'd walk it right out the door.
Man.
And me and Keith were in the back. We were just like.
I love that guy. I can't even remember doing that, but I don't doubt it.
Oh yeah, I remember that totally.
I do remember being mad that you guys started without me, though. I do remember that.
Yeah.
But
I think that was just your way of finally separating from the gym itself.
But when we split up for that year, we all got good.
Yeah. I came back. Yeah. I think I put on 20 pounds or so. Started really eating.
Yep. So the split up did everybody good, I think.
Mm-hmm.